The Socceroos have been left frustrated and deflated after a really disappointing 0-0 draw with Indonesia, the second match of round 3 of World Cup qualifiers for Australia. Such a disappointing result, especially after the loss on home soil to Bahrain last week. Australia, across these opening 2 matches of qualifiers, have failed to score a goal, and there is plenty of work that needs to be done, plenty of changes that we need to see ahead of the next games coming up. In this video, we're going to look at what went wrong for Australia and what needs to change for the next games coming up in just a month's time. I would love to get your thoughts as well, so feel free to throw your opinions into the comment section. First of all, let's have a look at the lineup that Australia deployed for this game, and I will give credit to Graham Arnold for naming a bit more of an adventurous lineup. In the Bahrain game, we did see a 4-3-3 setup. This was pretty much a 4-4-2. Nestory Irankunda starting. Interesting to see that he was starting as a striker. He was starting in a forward position alongside Mitch Duke. He had a couple opportunities, but I don't think we saw the best out of Nestory Irankunda tonight. He is just, I think he's better utilised in a wide position when he's able to get around defenders, take them on, get around the wing, and make his moves from wide areas. There was a couple opportunities, a key moment towards the end of the first half, where a ball was swung in by Craig Goodwin, and he had a clear header. He had so much space around him, and he just wasn't able to take the header. Someone like maybe Mitch Duke or Adam Taggart would have buried that opportunity. He's not necessarily a recognised striker, Nestory Irankunda, so maybe not quite well utilised in that role. Bacchus Irvine working hard in midfield. Great to see Silvera coming in to the wing as well. Duke was starting, of course, Yengi suspended, and Burgess in at the back in for Kai Rolls. There was that, just having that extra play in attack certainly helped us create chances, and if we go look at the stats as well, Australia did have the chances. 19 shots, just 5 on target. And the huge stat to look at down the bottom here is 15 corners for Australia. It's quite incredible. There was a period in that first half where it was just back-to-back corners, non-stop corners. Many of them, the deliveries weren't quite working out for us, unfortunately. There were a couple opportunities, especially for Harry Sutar, who got his head onto the end of some of them. But Indonesia were just getting in the road every single time. Goalkeeper was making a couple crucial saves. And the positive as well is that Indonesia didn't create too many dangerous chances. If Indonesia here, just 5 shots, 2 on target. We definitely control possession as well, 63% in the end. At the very start of the game, Indonesia looks dangerous. They had a couple corners early on. And then at the start of the second half, they also were creating some opportunities. But aside from that, Australia were pretty much dictating the play of the game. And it felt like that the goal was coming. But it felt like basically for the entire game, up until like maybe the last 10 minutes when Australia looked like they started to run out of legs, by that point, it felt like this game was just going to end in a scoreless draw. You just thought, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen for us. Well, Graham Arnold did bring on the likes of Nisbet, Aylmabil, Taggart, rolls on late to replace Bajic. It provided a little bit of a spark. Aylmabil got a lot of the ball late on in the game, but again, just that lack of quality, which was really, really disappointing to see. There were some good players on the pitch today, but the crossing, the passing, just in the final third, sort of the final pass, the final shot was lacking was lacking last night for Australia. And where does the blame sort of go in that sort of situation? Is it just purely down to the players? Is it down to the coach and sort of tactically how we're setting them up? Are we not setting up our players in the right way to best utilise their abilities? We've already spoken about Nestory Irankunda. In terms of how this lineup could change, though, we need to see some new players come in. We need to see a bit of a refresh. You look at the likes of Alex Robertson, Ryan McGree. These are examples of some players who could come in to provide a bit of a spark, especially those guys obviously in midfield. I think it would have helped having Cassini Yengi in this game to, his physicality in the box. Mitchell Duke and Nestory Irankunda, obviously 2 different striking options there. There are some serious changes that are needed. I feel like defensively, we're pretty well set. I'm pretty happy with the backline and how it's looking. Alessandro Ciccati, again, had a great game. Harry Sutar had a couple nice defensive interventions in this game also. It's that midfield and forward positions that really needs a bit of a revamp for Australia. Look, obviously we still want to keep the likes of Nestory Irankunda, Craig Goodwin, but aside from that, there's a huge opportunity here now for Graham Arnold to make some really, really brave decisions here and drop some players, maybe some experienced players who just haven't been performing. We love Jackson Irvine. He's been such a pivotal player for the Socceroos over the years, but he was really, really poor in these two games. So many wayward passes, just losing possession. And that's the kind of position that maybe you could see someone like Alex Robertson, a younger option, get him brought into that midfield area. There's so many sort of areas across the park where you could talk about, especially in wide positions as well, and up top also. So, and there's an opportunity now for these Australian players who haven't been picked for these squads to come in and make an impact now. And I really urge Graham Arnold to be brave and take this opportunity. And obviously that's what we have to talk about as well. I mean, Graham Arnold and speculation in regards to whether, how long he'll be in charge of the Socceroos, because it's an absolute disaster the way that we've started this round of World Cup qualifiers without scoring a goal, with only 1 point. It's unacceptable. It really, really is, especially against Indonesia, a side who are ranked, almost 100 spots away from us in the FIFA rankings, and we were unable to score a goal against them in the end. We were unable to score a goal against Bahrain on home soil. There's question marks in terms of, who takes over from there. I mean, we were talking about the live watch along last night. Some names were popping up. The likes of Tony Popovic would be interesting. I know Kevin Muscat's having a successful time over in China right now, but we'd love to see Kevin Muscat in charge of the Socceroos, who's been doing a fantastic job over at Shanghai Port lately. But this squad clearly needs just a new spark, a bit of rejuvenation, and in terms of, I guess off the pitch in a coaching role, and on the pitch as well in terms of personnel. I think we give Graham Arnold just one more chance, one more window to see what he does, to see how we bounce back from these results, from this adversity. And if the results don't come, I think it is time to move on. Obviously, 10 games in this stage of qualifiers. We're already 2 games into it, and it's already not looking great. Let's have a look at the ladder now and how it stands. The group standings down here, as you can see. I mean, Japan currently top of the group. They've been really impressive across their 2 games. 12 scored, 0 conceded. Saudi Arabia got a win against China last night, lifting them up into second place. Bahrain, obviously, up into third place after the win against Australia. And you can see there, the Socceroos sitting 5th in this ladder. The top 2 teams from the group go through to the World Cup. Obviously, if we can sneak into third place, that helps us out as well. We can get through to the playoffs from there, but it's not ideal. We do not want to go down that route once again. So it's looking really unlikely that we would catch Japan in first place already. We've got to hope that we can try and catch Saudi Arabia in second place. But in order to do that, we not only need to start winning games, we just simply need to start scoring goals. Creating more opportunities for ourselves, just looking a bit more dangerous in attack going forward, because it's really worrying at the moment. Looking at the signs, again, I mean, you look at these stats, 19 shots, like we did have the opportunities, we did have the chances, but we are just lacking that clinical cutting edge in the final third. We are desperately missing that at the moment, and we need to find a solution quickly. Australia sitting 5th in the group standings at the moment, 0-0 with Indonesia in the end. How did you feel about this game, these couple games for Australia? So disappointing. What do you want to see changed ahead of the next games for the Socceroos? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. My name's Lockie, this is Coast Watch Football, and I'll see you in the next one.